Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Nitai Go Premanandi. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramhamsa Parivajagacharya Stotra Shri Srimati Divine Grace Srila Abhay Chan Arvinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Om Vishnupad Paramhamsa Parivajagacharya Stotra Shri Srimati Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananda Koti Vaishnav Vrind Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री द्वैत गदाधर श्री वासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड के गौतम की मथुरा धाम की वृंदावन धाम की जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की गंगा माई की यमुना माई की भक्ति देवी की युगधाम हरिनाम संकीर्तन यज्ञ की श्रील प्रॉपर ट्रांसलेशन बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की Prabhupada Translation Prasharam Distribution Ki Nitai Go Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glory to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Namo Vishnu. Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class. We're reading from Canto 4, Chapter 7, titled The Sacrifice Performed by Daksha. To clarify, it's text number 54. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Text 4:754. Trayanam ekabhavanam yo na pashyati vaibidam sarva bhutatmanam brahman sa shantim adhigacchati. Trainam ekabhavanam yo na pashyati vaibidam sarva bhutatmanam brahman shashantim adhigacchati. Trayanam ekabhavanam yo na pashyati vaibidam sarva bhutatmanam brahman sa shantim adhigacchati. Trayanam of of the three. Ekabhavanam, having one nature. Ya, who napashyati, does not see. Why, certainly. Bhidam, separateness. Sarvabhuta Atmanam, of the supersoul of all living entities. Brahman, or Daksha. Sa, he. Shantim, peace. Adhigachati, realizes. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Abhay Chandra Ravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Translation. The Lord continued, one who does not consider Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva or the living entities in general to be separate from the Supreme and who knows Brahman actually realizes peace. Others do not. Purport. Two words are very significant in this verse. Trayanam indicates three, namely Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu. Bhidam means different. They are three and therefore they are separate, but at the same time they are one. This is the philosophy of simultaneous oneness and difference, which is called Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva. The example given in the Brahma Samhita is that milk and yogurt are simultaneously one and different. Both are milk, but the yogurt has become changed. In order to achieve real peace, one should see everything and every living entity, including Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, as non-different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. No one is independent. Every one of us is an expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This accounts for unity and diversity. There are diverse manifestations, but at the same time they are one in Vishnu. Everything is an expansion of Vishnu's energy. Om Ajnanatimmirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Svapadantigam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitam Cha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Shute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatirubhascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. We're reading from Canto 4, Chapter 7, Text 54. the Lord continued, one who does not consider Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, or the living entities in general to be separate from the Supreme, and who knows Brahman, actually realizes peace. Others do not. So, starting from verse 50 up to text 54, the Lord has spoken. Earlier in text 26, if you recall, Daksha offers his prayers to this, to Vishnu, who's present in the sacrifice, and he says, "My Lord, you're completely transcendental. You're self-sufficient." There's no purport to that. And then you really see, after the following Daksha, all the Prajapatis, the demigods, the Vidyadharas, Lord Shiva, Lord Indra, all of them are offering their prayers to the Lord, and the Lord just speaks in 4 verses. And what does he do? If we are able to see through just these verses that are being spoken, he's chastising Daksha. He's instructing him the science of Achinta Bheda Bheda Tattva. And in text 49, towards the end, in the translation itself, it is said, I'll read the verse, the translation. Maitra continued, "My dear sinless Vidura, Lord Vishnu is actually the enjoyer of the results of all sacrifices. Yet, because of his being the super soul of all living entities, he was satisfied simply with his share of the sacrificial offerings. He therefore addressed Daksha in a pleasing attitude." So in Nectar of Devotion, there are different, chapter 21, there are different qualities of Krishna that are being spoken about. And one of the qualities of Krishna is that he is a pleasing talker. When he defeats Kaliya on the bed, when the pastime unfolds, thought there was a picture here. The pastime unfolds where the serpent Kaliya, because of his poison, he's contaminated the whole of Yamuna, and the cows who drink from the Yamuna die, and Krishna comes to the rescue by jumping into the waters of Kaliya and actually dancing on his hoods, and in the process of him dancing, Kaliya vomits out all of the poison. And it is described that Krishna, after defeating Kaliya, in a very pleasing manner, as it is said here in text 49, the Lord speaks in a pleasing attitude. "My dear king of snakes, although I have given you some punishment, please do not be dissatisfied with me." It's just that he's in, one may describe it in a nonchalant way, but he was speaking with so much of sweetness that he sort of got away with chastising Kaliya. One of other Krishna's qualities is that he's fluent. He's fluent in his speech. So Uddhava, in the 11th canto, he describes that the words of Krishna are so attractive that they can immediately change the heart of the opponent. His words alone can solve all of the questions and problems of this world. And although he does not speak for very long, each and every word contains volumes and volumes of meaning. That is Krishna, that he'll just speak very little, but it'll contain volumes and volumes of meaning. Just going back to the 2nd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, when Arjuna has listed out his reasons for not fighting, and to any sane person, who would actually read through the 1st chapter of the Gita, would actually side on Arjuna's position. The Lord, just in 2 verses, he just completely dispels Arjuna's, what he calls, weak-heartedness, but by calling him that how has this impurities come upon you? They're not befitting a person of high values, and do not give in to these degrading importance. So Krishna right away slashes all of Arjuna's what would be considered to be good-hearted gestures, or his kind-heartedness towards the suffering of that'll ensue following the battle. So Krishna, being the perfect teacher, teaches how how to correct someone given the time and circumstances. One of other qualities of Krishna is that he's grave. So sometimes this definition of the word grave, or this personality trait of grave, is that one who does not reveal one's mind to everyone, and there's always something unknown about what this person is actually thinking. So Krishna is very grave. In the pastime of the Brahma Vimohan Leela, Lord Brahma, after he's admitted defeat, there's a whole chapter that speaks on Lord Brahma's prayers to Krishna. And when he's speaking out his prayers, he's actually speaking out his mind, and is in a way he's sort of regretful, but at the same time he knows what he's done is, how would he beg for forgiveness? So he starts glorifying the residents of Vrindavan. And in one of the verses, it is described, I'll just read that verse. 10:14:34. Lord Brahma prays, "My greatest possible good fortune would be to take any birth wherever in this forest of Gokula and have my head bathed by the dust falling from the lotus feet of any of its residents. The entire life and soul is the Supreme Personality of Godhead Mukunda, the dust of whose lotus feet is still being searched for in the Vedic mantras." So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes that Lord Brahma understands that he may not be able to take birth in Vrindavan, so it's better for him to take birth as it grass outside of Vrindavan, so whenever the residents walk out, they'll step, so the dust of their feet will actually purify him. So that's what Brahma prays for. And he really prays for it from the innermost recesses of his heart. And what does Krishna do? He just stands there. He gives him silent treatment, and Brahma circumambulates him 3 times and then departs for his abode. Again, Krishna doesn't speak a word. And our acharyas say that Krishna is, Srila Prabhupada writes in the Krishna book that the Lord is actually telling Brahma that you better go and perform your own devotional service that's been assigned to you, rather than hastily coming to Vrindavan and taking birth as the grass of Vrindavan. So execute your own service first. So in that way, Lord is trying to tell Brahma that each of us have a service to perform, and each of us have an innate duty in nature, and stick to that rather than jumping to something first. And obviously Lord Brahma later on takes birth as Haridas Thakur, where he gets his service to serve Lord Chaitanya, and then he also, in a way, the purification that he goes through. But again, Krishna gives him the silent treatment, and that's, again, Krishna doesn't speak a word. When we just finished just last week with Lord Nrsingadev's appearance, and again we see that similar theme happening in where all the demigods and everyone have offered their prayers, and when Lord Brahma offers his prayers, the Lord just, again it is described in a pleasing attitude, tells him better not to give such boons again. So he reciprocates, or he sort of chastises Brahma for giving out such boons without giving it a thought, despite of Brahma, offering his obeisances, offering his prayers, offering his, and so many others. So Krishna is the Lord is completely transcendental. It's got nothing to do, what he reciprocates with is our devotion. But again, when Prahlad Maharaj offers us prayers, the Lord reciprocates with him in a loving and paternal affection. So now in this verse there is quite a bit of emphasis that's given to the understanding of Achintya Bhera Bhera Tattva. Now, does anyone want to know why is the Lord speaking about Achintya Bhera Bhera Tattva in this context? Yeah, Daksha offended Shiva, thank you. So the Lord is telling him, don't do this again. So he's educating him in knowledge. So listening to a class by Dona Shivaram Swami, and you're saying the basis of any relationship is knowledge. When you want to deepen the relationship with someone, then you try to get to know that person or try to get to know the process. So that's why we go through Sambandha, Abhidaya and Prayojana. Sambandha is the knowledge of that relationship. So the Lord is educating Daksha on the workings of Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva. And the example that's obviously what's given here, that Trayanam indicates three. So there is three, and Bhedam means different. There are three, therefore they are separate, but they are at the same time they are one. So just yesterday there was, maybe I think 2 months ago, the Back to Godhead that was here for picked up from Bhava Prabhu, and there was a morning walk by Srila Prabhupada, in which Srila Prabhupada was, a devotee was asking Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, if everything is Krishna and the stone is as much as Krishna, then why do we import a deity from India? And Prabhupada said, because you're a rascal, you don't understand. He said, Maya tatam idam sarvam jagat avyakta murtina matsthani sarva bhutani nachaham tesham avashtitaha. By me this entire being is manifested, entire universe is manifested, all beings are me, yet I'm not in them. So he was saying, yes, everything is Krishna. What we worship is Krishna, and Krishna's energies are non-different from each other. Just because this bench is Krishna's energy, we don't worship it as deity, it's Krishna's energy. And Prabhupada went on to describe, in my childhood we were taught that even if a grain of rice fell on the ground, we would pick it up and not waste Krishna's energy. So we are actually interacting with Krishna's energy. So so it's simultaneous oneness and difference. In another place, Srila Prabhupada, if you just type in Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva on Vedabase and search, there'll be an endless list of Srila Prabhupada's purports, morning walks, that actually speak on this. And in one instance, Srila Prabhupada, that was his common analogy that he would share would be the sun and the sunshine. The sun is also light and sunshine is also light, but when the sunshine rays come into your room, you don't say the sun is in the room, you say the rays of the sunshine are in the room. So in that way he says he expands on this definition of Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva. And so many other places, there was this one, I forget, maybe it was in relation to, I can't clearly recall, but it was sun and sunshine. And in this example, it is the example of the milk and the yogurt. So even though the yogurt comes from milk, they both, as soon as it's in touch, milk is in touch with the acid or the culture, it becomes yogurt. Oh yes, the example was of Lord Shiva. So Lord Vishnu, as soon as he's in, or Mahavishnu, as soon as there's contact with material energy, that becomes Lord Shiva. So Lord Shiva does the function of Lord Vishnu, although they're an expansion. So in the last verse, in the last word of this purport, everything is an expansion of Vishnu's energy. So in that way, we are interacting with Krishna's energy. So in that way, there is simultaneous oneness and difference. And then we'll see, following these verses, the sacrifice would be completed, and then there'll be, Daksha would go away, or all of the demigods would leave, and then there's the glories of hearing this pastime. So there's so much that's been discussed, especially with regards to Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva and the Lord instructing Daksha here. And just by, like I said, as I was saying earlier, even though the Lord, one of Krishna's qualities is that he's a fluent speaker, or he's fluent, Even though he doesn't speak for very long, each and every word of his contains volumes and volumes of meaning. For example, in the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna just takes his chariot into the midst of the two armies and just say, Arjuna, just look. And that itself, Arjuna is eternally Nitya Siddha devotee, but that those two words, just for the purpose of this pastime, for the purpose of us receiving the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna is put into illusion. So that's Krishna's that's where each word of Krishna is contained. So we've always heard Srila Prabhupada speak this. If someone reads even one verse of the Bhagavatam, or even one page, or even one word, their lives would be perfected. So that's the potency of Srila Prabhupada's, of Krishna's words that have been handed down to us through the process of disciplic succession, parampara. For example, there's so many such stories that we can think of with regards to book distribution. His Holiness Shivaram Maharaj was describing that once in Mayapur, one of the acharyas of the Madhava Sampradaya had actually come. And he had already had some contact with Srila Prabhupada, and Srila Prabhupada had written to him, in this age of Kali, there are no qualified brahmanas except for you. You are the qualified brahmana. And they had a lot of loving exchanges. And this Acharya, actually, when he came to Mayapur, when he was getting the reports how devotees were distributing books, and he said, actually, this is not possible for any conditioned soul in this Kali Yuga. This is something extraordinary, and this is only being possible because of the mercy and the empowerment of Lord Chaitanya, which is being conveyed to us through Srila Prabhupada. One other time, actually, yes, this is the story I always remember. It was shared by one devotee in America. There were these two devotees who were distributing books at the airport, and two friends were actually, one friend was dropping off someone to the airport, the other friend. So this devotee approached friend A, or this person A, and gave them a chant and be happy. And this person actually didn't have anywhere to put the book. What this person does is puts it in his friend's bag. You know, for example, if they're just walking and they just like for a split second took the book and just put it in the bag or the pouch of this other person, with the intention of getting the book back once, you know, they've exchanged pleasantries and they've bid goodbye. But this friend A forgot about the book altogether, and this person boarded the airplane and didn't, you know, and had the book in its bag. And at that time in the US, that year, I don't know, they announced this rule that no tablets, no devices can be accessed on the plane. This person was quite bored, so he picks out the book from the bag and starts reading it. And it's a 2-hour journey or something like that. The moment this person lands, I think it was Jacksonville or somewhere, I can't remember. Like, this book has just, you know, is exactly what I was looking for. He just rushes to the temple and says, can I get a whole set of books all the books that you have? And devotees are like, what? What are you talking about? You know, what do you need? And can you just tell us where you came from? And like, look, you know, I don't know how this book came in my bag, but I just read it. And then once, you know, he had reception, he called up his friend and like, I just read this book. Like, hey, wait a minute, you know, I bought this book. you took it. Anyway, I'm glad you liked it. And he's like, oh, this just, you know, saved my, you know, it's saved me from doing all kinds of things. And, you know, next thing you know, this person is now residing in the Krishna house in Jacksonville. So that's the power of Srila Prabhupada's books. And even one word, or even, for example, this exchange, which was somehow or the other, someone else bought the book, and this person who received it, you know, became, you know, the fortunate recipient of it, got so benefited. So similarly, the reason why I'm saying this is because in the previous verse, in text 53, It is described devotees are compassionate to every conditioned soul, and therefore they are known as aprakya buddhi. Because devotees will learn and know how that every living entity is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, they preach Krishna consciousness to everyone so that everyone may be happy. So that's the difference between a jnani and a devotee. A jnani knows, or at least is conceptually or theoretically understood, that everything is a part, we are all part and parcel of Krishna, but a devotee acts on that platform by sharing this knowledge, sharing this, being an instrument of Krishna's compassion by extending them Krishna's mercy, or Radha Gopinath's mercy. Yeah. So yes, these were some of the points that I wanted to share, especially because the Lord has now spoken, and from here on the sacrifice would be done and everyone would depart. And most importantly, the Lord is actually, in just very few words, actually just in 3 verses, revealed to Daksha what he needs to hear for his own purification and for his own service. So yeah, I'll end here. If anyone has any question or comment. Yes, Hare Krishna. Yeah. So Jiva Goswami has said that now obviously there are different Puranas, and different Puranas glorify, for example, in the mode of, those that are in the mode of ignorance glorify Lord Shiva. So he said that knowledge is best, is more authoritative. Knowledge that we receive from the Puranas that are in the mode of goodness are more authoritative than the other Puranas. So in the Bhagavad Gita also it is said one of the symptoms of mode of goodness is knowledge, receiving of knowledge. So knowledge through the that received through the Puranas in Sattva Guna are more authoritative. So we actually receive those for us as considered to be on a higher platform than those in the mode of ignorance. Anything else? Yes, Prabhu. Krishna is grave. Yeah, so Krishna gives him the silent treatment, and actually later on, Dina Bandhu Prabhu in one of his books, he writes that can't remember if it's Brahma or Indra. Okay, I can't remember if it's Brahma or Indra, but what they realize, actually maybe it was, anyway. Brahma realizes that the best way to get Krishna's mercy is to get remnants of his prasadam. So what Brahma does, maybe or maybe Indra, so excuse me for that. So Brahma realizes that okay, Krishna has just finished lunch. So after finishing lunch, what one does is goes and washes their hands, right? So he in his own way, he thinks of a ingenious way of getting Krishna's mercy, of getting Krishna's remnants. So what he does is he goes to so Krishna has just finished lunch, and obviously he's going to wash his hand. So as he goes to wash his hand, so obviously we all eat with the right hand, right? I mean, so he would think that the moment Krishna washes his hand, I'll take the form of a fish, and I will obviously get some of the remnants. So he goes and he disguises himself as a fish, thinking that wow, now this is my way of getting Krishna's mercy. So he enters as a fish. Krishna is right there by the pond. Krishna being the most, I'm seated in everyone's heart, and for me come knowledge, forgetful, and remembrance. So he knows as a super soul. He knows everything, what's in everyone's heart. Krishna, instead of his right hand, takes his left hand and washes his left hand, and just on the grass he just pours whatever water that he can collect in his left hand and just wipes his hand on the grass and then walks away. And Brahma gets his lesson. That, because we think, um, I think Great Chaitanya Charan Prabhu says that, um, a lot of times we want Krishna to solve our issues or our challenges or whatever we are facing. We impose our intelligence on Krishna, but Krishna is, you know, all cognizant. He knows everything. So in that way, when we impose our intelligence on Krishna, we're imposing our limitations on Krishna. But Krishna is all perfect. So Krishna has his own way. He knows what's best for us. So in this case, Brahma, he just gave him the silent treatment. Acharyas say there are two things here. Obviously, in Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that Krishna was trying to tell him that, you go and perform your own service first of creation, and then think of taking birth in Vrindavan. And in other places, our Acharya also say that Krishna is just thinking, I'm a cowherd boy. Why is he coming and offering me prayers? I'm meant to be playing with my friends, so I feel out of place here by him offering me prayers. So these are the two. But yeah, Krishna is grave. And it is also said that Shishupal, he was actually insulting Krishna for 3 lifetimes, and in the third, he was just going non-stop. After the 100th offense, he got his head chopped off. In a similar way, there is a comparison of his mercy to Lord Ramachandra. It is said that Indra disguised himself as a crow and attacked Mother Sita, and Lord Ramachandra was about to attack him, but at that very moment, Indra, got rid of his disguise, and he actually offered obeisance to Lord Ramachandra and Mother Sita and begged for forgiveness, and Ramachandra forgave him. However, Krishna is actually more forgiving, because Shishupal, as a demon, was causing pain to the Lord for 3 lifetimes. Then there was not just 1 or 2 attempts of him being insulted by Shishupal, it was 100 times that he offended the Lord. So the Lord was silent for all this time until the final one. Okay, we have run out of time. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Namo Vishwadaya Krishna Prabhupada Ji Priya Shri Giri Rajai Swami